First of all, could you just get a squad update? How are you looking ahead of the weekend's match against Celtic?
Yeah, still the same as we were. Robbie D's out, although he's been fitted now with a mask, and we're hopefully that he can resume training next week, which is a real bonus. Surgeon was really happy with how that's progressing. Brad Lyons, Kyle McInnes, the two ones who are longer term. Brad, we might get back before the split or around about the split. Kyle out for the season.
Just want to get your reaction to the Scottish Cup quarter-final draw away at Aberdeen full team. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, brilliant to be in it. You know, obviously Saturday wasn't without its challenges, and it was kind of it's one of the ones it's always difficult through. Everybody just expects to seamlessly get through against Cove Rangers, but we won the game. We got a clean sheet and we were comfortable in the end. So you get the reward of a quarter-final tie. Once you get the quarter-final, you expect a tough game. You know, I think it is a tough game going up to Aberdeen, but equally I think it will be a tough game for them as well.
Obviously, you'll be up against Neil Warnock. I think you played them in the league first, but there's that famous game, Battle of Bramall Lane, from 20...
It's a bit early to bring all that up, is it not? The game's just a few weeks away. No, I'm just...
You're looking forward to coming up against them in the Cup as well?
Yeah, of course. Of course. I think it's about the opportunity for the club and the players to go and we managed to win at Pittodrie. We beat Aberdeen here as well. I think it's important that we go into that cup tie in good form. So we're still a few weeks away from that. You know, but we'd one defeat in 12, and that was at Ibrox on the 2nd of January. So I think we're shown over a period of time now that we're very competitive, and even when we're not at our best, we can still pick up results. So cup football is cup football. Where, you know, you're in it or out it at the end of the day, and you know, and I think that competitiveness that my team's shown throughout the season will be important in a day like that. But I think it is important that the fact that we managed to win up there early in the season. But when it comes round, it's there'll be a lot of good players in show from both teams, and ultimately it's a cup tie, and we've got to beat good teams if you want to progress. You know, if you're going to progress through a tournament, you expect to play better teams as you go along, and there's no doubt that Aberdeen will have a tough game for us.
Yeah, we'll ask you more about it close to the time.
Yeah.
But you talk about only one loss in 12. That was at Ibrox just after the New Year. 4th in the league, quarter-final cup. You're heading to Celtic this weekend. Do you feel that you are in, you know, a really good place? Your form is almost as good as it could be.
Yeah, I think since the month of December was really productive for us. I thought we had a good level of performance. We overcame a lot of big challenges. I think since we've come back from the break, performances could do with improving, but we've still had results. You know, and I think it's important for my players to you know, get that message from me, as I've been saying to them time and time again, that it's important that with 8 games before the split, it's important that while we're happy where we are at the minute, we can't just feel as though that we've done enough and tiptoe and try to hope to get into the top 6. It's the team that finds form now that will get there, and it's important that we try and raise our levels, try and raise the standard of our play, and keep that shoulder to wheel, really just keep driving the club into the top 6. That's the aim for us. For us, getting top 6 would be a huge achievement. You know, from where we were 2 years ago, from where we were last season, I think it would demonstrate a lot of good work from everybody at the club. But we're not there yet, and it's important that we don't think we're there yet. And I think it's as good as we are sitting in 4th. You see how tight the league is. Probably top 3 teams have got that cemented. Well, they have, but all the way down to 10th, potentially, that every team will still have a wee inkling that it might just be us that gets into that top 6. So that in itself tells you there's still work to be done. We know we've got a few more wins to get. Now the likelihood of us getting that on Saturday, most people won't think that will be the case at Celtic Park. And like everything, when you see your competitors going to play Rangers at Ibrox and Celtic at Celtic Park, you feel there's an opportunity to try and gain some ground. But for us, we just need to focus on ourselves, concentrate on our performance, and hopefully try and upset the odds and try and have that big performance in us that we've shown already this season to beat Celtic a couple of times, albeit not at Celtic Park, to go and get a positive result.
You mentioned that possibility of the top 6 there. When you look around your dressing room, you see so many players with Premiership experience. That must fill you with confidence that guys have been there and done it before, like Gavin High, Stephen Breakstreet, whatnot. They've got that one up in the past. They'll be able to show that again.
Yeah, I think experience is very important when it comes into running. I think experience got us over the line to win a championship here. I think I leaned a lot on my experienced players in that period. You know, Stephen McInnes, Ash Taylor, Kyle Lafferty. Last season, the back end of last season, when we started to find the form that we needed to stay in the league, it was my experienced ones that helped. And I think that we've strengthened, albeit we get players like Kevin Van Veen and Greg Stewart and Gary Mackay-Steven for a reason, because you don't get them in the summer because you can't afford to get them in the summer. You can get them in January through circumstance, and there's an understanding for me to try and get these boys up to speed. But I think when you look around my dressing room in terms of the level of player we've got, the level of experience you mentioned, I think that it kind of gives each other confidence, not just me, you know what I mean. But just having these players in isn't enough. We've got to go and still deliver performances.
You mentioned several times about the character of this team. When you go to a place like Celtic Park or Ibrox, how much do you lean on that character as well? Almost a wee bit of confidence you can go there and get the result. Yeah,
well, you do. I think obviously I've got to pick a team, and we work with a team through the week to try and tactically give yourself the best chance. Like every manager of clubs like ourselves, when you go to a place like Celtic Park, you've got to try and get that balance between attacking and defending, and give the confidence that we're not there just to turn up and shake hands in a 1-0 defeat and get back down the road. We're there because it's an opportunity to pick up 3 points. I think my job a lot of the time when you go to Celtic Park is to be the best salesman I can be with my players. It's to try and sell that to them, that we can do this and have that belief. And I think that becomes a bit easier for the players, the ones who have played in a couple of victories here against Celtic already this season. There's evidence there that you can say, look, if we do so much right in the game, if we're consistently doing our work properly, if we're organised right, we make good decisions, then you can upset the odds, and ultimately that's what we're going to try and do on Saturday.
There's this sort of narrative that Brendan's been talking about Celtic maybe not finding their feet after the break, a bit dysfunctional, all this sort of stuff. Do you buy into that?
Yeah, again, it's about levels. I think, every club, for every club now to attain what they want to attain this season, their main objectives, and similar to myself, just come back to what I said about us, we're going to have to improve. It's what we've done up to now isn't going to get the job done. It's what comes from now, and I think from maybe what Brendan's suggesting, the fact is, they're going to have to improve if they're going to have the confidence to win a title. So, but as an opposition manager, you look at it, they've got, although they're missing a couple of key players, they've still got an abundance of talent, and we're mindful of that. And I think you saw even the cup game in Sunday there, one had some good moments early on, but eventually Celtic looked pretty comfortable in the second half. They were clinical, and they've got that in them. These players have won titles, these managers won titles, and nobody's rolling over for anybody.
There's been a bit of discord just between the Celtic fans and the players, and just within the club. Is that something that's to your benefit in terms of how the game might play out?
Who knows? I think only if we play well and turn up. I think that I think it's important for us to try and impose ourselves on the game, and don't, as I say, just roll over and make it a comfortable afternoon for anybody at Celtic. We're here to try and frustrate and annoy them, and try and knock them out of stride, and not really let them get any rhythm. Because Celtic, once they get into a rhythm and the good players start to enjoy the game, normally everybody goes with them with that. That's supporters and everything, and it can be quite a difficult afternoon. So I think from everything else, we just want to make sure that we try and have a strong performance ourselves, and that'll be the biggest factor in us getting a result, rather than any discord with supporters.
When you mentioned about being a salesman, what's the most pertinent point that you say to your players that you've picked up from the other 2 wins this season?
There's more than just one thing. I think the most important one, it's hard to put in any order, but there's so much you need to do right in terms of decision making, recognising when you can press and when you have to come off your shape. But I think players will know their role tactically in the game, and I think they go into the pitch. But I think probably mentally I've got to have 11 players going down the tunnel, think that we're here to get a result, and be extremely disappointed if we don't. And it's that type of mentality I think that you've got to have in your dressing room.
Do you approach the game different in sessions leading up to it tactically when it is away from home at Celtic Park, or is it purely the atmosphere and that different sort of thing that you speak about to the players? What's the difference?
No, I think it's the same. I think we've always tried to be pretty consistent. This season we made a concerted effort to try and be the same approach home and away. I think obviously last season when you start to get a few sore ones on the road and you're losing a bit of confidence, maybe you overthink your team selection on the road. But this season we've tried to make a concerted effort to try and be what we are. I think I like the build up to this game. It gets myself and the staff. You have to try and probably work a wee bit harder to try and find those little advantages for your players, but also try to give the confidence to the players is our job. It's our job to make sure that physically they're in good nick at 3 o'clock Saturday, mentally in a really good place, and tactically we're spot on. So, and then it's down to individual. I think tactics can sometimes be overplayed, to be honest. Normally these types of games are won by individual moments, either mistakes or brilliance, and hopefully, as I say, we've got to make sure we don't have mistakes. There was a couple of mistakes the last time out against them at Celtic Park. We've had 2 defeats. We've had 1 defeat in 12, one was at Ibrox. We've had 2 defeats this season by more than 1 goal, and one was at Celtic Park, a 3-1 game, one was at Rangers. And the one at Celtic Park, we were in the game. I don't need to bring it up, but I will, because they made a mistake. VAR made a mistake, and I got an apology on the Monday. In the build up to winning our goals, we made a mistake in terms of playing out, and and the referees made a mistake in terms of not pulling up for offside. But it's those moments, mistakes, and the concentration part of it that's so key. It's hard enough keeping a team like Celtic out without giving them a helping hand.
I guess nothing breeds confidence like a good run of form like you're on at the minute, does it? That's just going to gel.
Yeah, you hope that's the case. It's like, I think we're getting into the game, no searching for results. You're obviously searching for improvements. Biggest challenge is try to pick the right team. I've got good options, and sometimes you get into these games a lot of time last season not really in good form, not really getting any sort of consistency. I think this season we've had far more consistency, competitiveness, level of performance has been good. So something similar will be required, and a bit more on Saturday.